Did you ever see another lonely kid in the park? His face is all sad, and his eyes are all dark. And you and your friends are out there running around, throwing frisbees, balls around, licking ice cream cones, playing tic-tac-toe on the ground. And the other kid's just sitting by himself. You kind of get scared. He's all alone, but it's not that he doesn't like you. It's not that he doesn't care. It's just that he's all alone. His friends aren't around. He's got nothing to do today. So since his friends aren't around, why don't you let him play with you? Any of you guys ever have dreams when you go to sleep? I don't want to hear about those. If you ever have dreams of scary monsters and stuff, you should remember that all you have to do is open up your eyes and they'll all go away. Open eyes, open eyes, open eyes. Don't be afraid to look around. Don't be an ostrich with your head in the ground. Don't get down. Scary monsters come, scary monsters go. But the ice cream man always shows up at the same time, ringing his bell, just when it's getting too hot and when you need a bicycle. So if you get a belly full and fall asleep and dream, all the scary monsters might come around. Just open eyes, open eyes, open eyes, and all those scary monsters will be nowhere to be found. Thanks. I'd like to introduce now Chris Brockton and Nancy McGibbon.
Well, actually, it's just me this time, and Nancy's coming up now. So, when I was young, one of my favorite poems was by Robert Louis Stevenson. It's called The Land of Counterpane. Now, I grew up in England, and in England, a counterpane is the English word for a patchwork quilt. And this was a poem by his about when he was young and sitting on his bed when he didn't have to go to school someday, he was sick or whatever, and looking out at his bed and sort of imagining, other things happening on his bed. And so I wrote my own version of this, and it's called The Land of Quilt. One day when I was sick, I lay and looked out on my bed. Each panel of my patchwork quilt became a field instead. I saw the corn in perfect rows, alfalfa, soy, and wheat, and farmers driving tractors near the coastline of my sheet. That chalky shore of Linden Cliff, the shag blue ocean falls, where waves of socks and sneakers hurtle white-capped at the walls. Across the sea, near monster chairs, a populated isle is formed by rocky tules that rise up from my laundry pile. And there the Nina and the Pinta meet and sail between the chairs. Columbus is the captain and the sailors are in pairs. A citadel now overlooks the harbor on my sheet, a shirt with sleeves for cannons on the mountain at my feet. Arriving there, the Spanish sailors wander through the port. They all traverse the angle pass below the looming fort, and now they travel on the roads between the three fields of grain and reach the sprawling capital upon the Lackland plain. The downtown is a bustling port, 100 stories high, connected by a highway strewn to suburb toys nearby. Amid the toys, there is a bowl, a baseball stadium. Inside, 100,000 fans and pandemonium. The playoff seventh game, and it's the Yankees in the Sox. The joint is jumping as up steps me into the batter's box. But then I thought, oh no, how could I have been such a fool? Today's the day that our team plays the crosstown rival school. A tidal wave engulfed the town and mountains filled the sea. The stadium flipped over, but it mattered not to me. On my legs I put the island, on my back the citadel. I ran into the kitchen and announced that I was well. Okay, since it's Mother's Day, I'd like to read the one I wrote for my mother. It's called Work to Do. Someone had a theory that if a mother treats her baby with unconditional love, it will grow up to have basic trust in itself and others. My mother had a baby, it was me. And I can see her as she holds that child, holds it close. And if there had been 100 theorists ranting in the background, putting forth great truths and great lies, not their noise would have disturbed the flow of language between my mother and me. A scholar might circumscribe love till the dawn of Judgment Day and not find such simplicity. Love my mother wasn't, lived it no less. What she knew was not the result of research or the cause of books, for scholars only write around the edges of the page of knowledge. They're tourists in their own land, doctors of all trades, masters of none. And what my mother knew, she knew throughout. Her cradling arms knew it, and her eyes. Her movements knew it. We knew it together. We left the isms to the ismists, for nothing works in theory, and we had work to do. How does that proverb go? Give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach him to fish, and feed him for the rest of his days. Yes, it's a tell a man a proverb, and you won't feel it for 10 minutes. I remember one day, when I was a child, my mother had her hands immersed in the washing water. I tried to do likewise, but recoiled. The water was too hot to touch. My mother explained that women had extra layers of skin on their hands that enabled them to stand such high temperatures. Well, I decided then to have that extra layer, and to this day, I can wash dishes in hotter water than anyone. Next up is Nancy Mintz.
Okay, what I'm going to read is much a story as it is a poem, and it's a story about a little girl named Jenny. One day, a very long time ago, there lived a young lassie named Jenny. She was tough and wild, a very outspoken child, and she lived in a house near the woods, and her mother had warned her, "Now, Jenny, don't go in there. It's too dangerous." But Jenny was curious, and she wanted to know, who was it that lived in the woods? Was it lions and bears? Perhaps something weird? And Jenny was curious, more curious than scared. One day, she had an idea. "I'll go into the woods," she said with a laugh, "disguised as a lion, or perhaps a giraffe." But then her eyes lit up and she said, "I'm not scared. I'll go dressed as a bear with a beard." She made a long tail that looked just like a bear's, with the material she found in an old chest upstairs. And she put on her bear paws, and don't forget bear claws. And finally she sighed, "Oh no, I'm not scared." And she put on the last thing, a very bare beard. She found an old path near the edge of the woods, and she crept through it so carefully. It was dark, and the leaves that had fallen from the trees were soft under her feet, and she peeked round the edges. What do you think she'd meet? And what do you think she heard? She heard sounds, a whistle. What was that? Just a bird. And the croak? Who was croaking? It was a frog out in the pond. And the swish of a fish, and a roar, and a roar, and a roar. Who was there? What did she see? But a very large bear. How do you think she felt? Jenny was scared, and she rubbed her bare beard, and she yelled, "Mama, help!" Oh, she let out a yelp, and the bear it yelled too. Then the bear it came nearer, and Jenny stepped far. Then Jenny stepped farther, the bear it stepped near. And Jenny jumped, the bear jumped, and she reached up it too. Should I run? Should I jump? Should I hide? What to do? Soon it was looking a little like dancing, like waltzing, like schmaltzing, a little like prancing. And Jenny rubbed her chin and whispered, "Oh dear, I suppose that I look like a bear to a bear." And they ran through the woods to the best honey trees, and she played in a cave where the little cubs slept, and the bear showed Jenny where the babies were kept. They climbed up the trees until it grew darker, until Jenny realized, "I have to go home." But first she took off her costume, her claws and her paws, and under it all, under the whirl, the bear it then saw that she was a young girl. And the bear said, "Please stay. These are the best woods in the land. We've got honey and ponds here and trees to climb." But Jenny said, "I can't. I've got to get home. My mom's making supper and she'll wonder what happened." And her friend said, "I'll help you." And together they walked past the trees that they climbed and the honeybee's hive until finally they found the path. And Jenny gave her friend a great big hug, and she ran straight home, just in time for supper. Some days when the forest is still and the trees seem to shake just a little too much for the breeze, you may see two bears wander near the great honey hive, and if you notice that one starts to laugh with a voice that sounds a little familiar, don't be startled to hear that it's our little friend Jenny and her friend the bear.